Okay, good morning and welcome to Just Daf It, Daf Yevamos here. We're learning Yevamos, Daf It number 83. Today we're going to be discussing more about the androgynous. The Mishnah, it seems, he has a din of Zachar according to all the opinions. Today we're going to find out that some of the Tanoim don't hold this way. And we're going to discuss at length the Shita of Rabbi Lezer. Is he considered a Zachar Vadai, not a Zachar Vadai? With that, we'll be concluding Parak Arel. Tomorrow we'll be starting the next Parak, the 9th Parak, Yevamos. So let's start. The bottom of Pei Beis and Beis, last two words, Amarav. Top Pei Gimel Manal. Leislam Asisim Mekame Braisa. Gemara says that technically the Mishnah is not the right halacha. Braisa, which says differently than the Mishnah, is the right halacha. The Sanya, Rabbi Yossi, Omer, androgynous period b'fnei atzmahu. Even though Rabbi Yossi said in the Mishnah that Kohen who's an androgynous can feed his wife truma because we treat him like a zachar vada, he has kedushas kahuna. Here in the Braisa, he says it's a suffix, b'fnei atzma, whatever you want to explain. He's both a zachar and a keva, but he's definitely not just a zachar. Non-binary, maybe that's how you explain it. Couldn't decide whether he's Zachar and Nekeva, so therefore at least it's a suffix, and therefore Truma's D'Oraisa, Savak D'Oraisa L'Chumra, his wife would not be able to eat Truma. Adarabba, the Gemara says maybe the opposite. Leisa L'Braisa L'Kayim Masnisin. We should take the Mishnah L'Halacha, not the Braisim, the Shafter Rabbi Yossi L'Bar Zuge. So the Gemara answers from the fact in the Braisa Rabbi Yossi left. It was in the Mishnah that says Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon. The Braisa is just Rabbi Yossi. Shmamina Hadar Bey. Obviously, the second halacha, the second thing that was recorded was the Braisa. So Rabbi Yossi really said something with somebody else, and he had the audacity to leave someone who agreed with him. Obviously, that's the correct view of Rabbi Yossi. So therefore, he holds he did Safek, not a din Vadai Zachar. Shmuel argues on Rav. Amar Leisa LeBraisa Mekam Masnis, and he says no, the halacha follows Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah. He's considered a Vadai Zachar. Shmuel says the reason is because in the Braisa he's by himself. So the Gemara asks, how could Shmuel say Dhikr is the Mishnah? Right, in the Mishnah it's Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon together. In the Braisa, it's Rabbi Yossi by himself, and we find that Shmuel is choshesh for a yachid opinion, so he should go like the Braisa. The Gemara answers, "Hani miliki lomis akram asisin." When he says you're choshesh for a yachid, that's only when you're not ruining a Mishnah. Lomis akram asisin lo chayish. When the Braisa is coming to say something different than the Mishnah, we go with the Mishnah, not the Braisa, even though the Braisa is a yachid opinion. Amri beira mishmei the Rav halacha Rabbi Yossi in the yeshiva of Rav. Talmudical Academy of Rav, they say the name of Rav. The halacha follows Rabbi Yossi by androgynous over harkava in regards to grafting. I'll see this regarding the halachas kilayim. Shmuel Rakoshi v'kiddush. Shmuel says the halacha follows Rabbi Yossi in two other halachas about kiddush. We'll see what kiddush refers to, and androgynous kiddush. Koshi refers to the halachas of a nida. She gives birth. She is in labor and she sees dam nida. Do we treat it as dam zava, dam nida, or we treat it as dam from a yoledes? With kiddush, in regards to makadosh by kilayim, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon, all these teachings are Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon together. That's why the Gemara includes it over here. Androgynous had the Amra. Androgynous is what we said in our Mishnah, right? Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon said androgynous is like a zachar. Harkava, this is not ein ultimate marvichin and markim Arab Shvius palchim shloshim yom lifnei Rosh Hashanah. This is talking about Shvius, learning a Mishnah Yomi, Shvius during Shemitah. One of the Mishnayos there says that there's Din Tosefes Shemitah, and therefore you can't plant something, and you can't be mavrich, means to take a plant, to bend it over and plant it in another place, to head it in another place. They markiv can't graft fruits within 30 days of Rosh Hashanah because of the Shemitah. We learned that it's according to Rabbi Akiva, who holds Tosefes Shemitah, or Rabbi Shmuel, the Halacha Paskin, we Paskin, like, he does agree with Tosefes Shemitah, but for a different reason, not because B'char Shkar Tishbot. He learns it out of the fact, I would say, from the fact that there's a Halacha Moshe Sinai about Esther Natios. So you see, he does hold of a different version. Everyone agrees there is Tosefes Shemitah. If he planted something, or he bent it over in the ground and replanted, or he grafted fruits within 30 days before Rosh Hashanah of Shemitah, Yakar, he has to uproot it, because it's an Isser to do Malacha, Tosefes Shemitah. He says, basically, the time it takes is not 30 days for something to take root, right? Because if it takes root before Rosh Hashanah of Shemitah, that's not considered planting during Tosefes Shemitah. 30 days is the generally agreed upon amount of time of Tosefes Shemitah. So if it takes root within 3 days, Rabbi Yehuda learns, so then it's okay. They say 2 weeks. According to the Tanna Kamma, it says 30 days. He holds that it takes 30 days to take root, so therefore you'd have to plant it 60 days before Rosh Hashanah of Shemitah, in order that you shouldn't have to be oker it. You shouldn't have to uproot it. The second opinion says, you need shlosha v'shlosha, you need 33 days. 3 days to take root. And obviously 30 days, you're not allowed to have plant take root. Rabbi Yosef and Shimon, who said the last opinion, they say you need basically 44 days, 2 weeks for it to take root, and then 30 days where you're not allowed to plant something. But Shmuel Amar, so there, that in that halacha, Rabbi Yosef and Shimon say, that's what Rav says, the halacha of Rabbi Yosef and Shimon, you need 44 days. Shmuel Amar Bakushi v'Kiddush Koshi this now. What is that talking about? Kami Hekyushuyeha. How much is considered her to be in labor, where we assume that the dam is part of dam yoledus and not considered dam nida or dam ziva. Remeir Omer or Ba'imo Chamishim. Remeir, it says even if she's in labor 40 or 50 days. Yuda Omer Dayeh Chodesh. He says only for a month. Rabbi Yosef Rishon Omer Ein Kishu Yosef Mishay Shabbosos. The maximum amount of time you can be told that you can assume it's coming from dam leda is Shtei Shabbosos. The halachas of dam leda are obviously different than dam nida and dam ziva. For example, dam leda is only if she gives birth to a boy, only 7 days. A female, 14 days. After that amount of time, it's considered a dam toar midoraisa. It's not matame. So Gemara says, Kiddush. What's the halacha that Shmuel says that halacha follows Rabbi Yosef Mishum by Kiddush? This is talking about kilayim. Someone who takes his vine and he hovers it over the grains of his friend, let's say a wheat plant of his friend, and therefore it crosses, even if it touches it or doesn't touch it, but it causes it to grow more than echanu masayim, 1/200th. Harezeh kidesh. It made a kilayim. Meir holds you're makadesh. You were successful in making a kilayim, but you're responsible to pay for it because the Gemara explains garmi or Meir is dying to need the garmi caused the detriment over there, so you're chayav to pay. Yosef Shimon Omrim, top of Gilmon and Beis, Yosef Shimon say, "Ein adam oser davar she'eno shalo." Person cannot aser something which does not belong to him, so therefore it's not makadesh. It doesn't become kilayim. You don't have the ability to aser something that doesn't belong to you. So therefore, that's Shmuel says. Halacha follows Yosef Shimon in that halacha. Ebayilhu. Ben Dragidis Mali. Mali Amar Shmuel. What would Shmuel say? We said Rav said the halacha by androgynous, and by the case of the second case was talking about Shemitah. What would Shmuel say about these things? Amar Shmuel Tashma the Amar Shmuel Ravana Leisa LeBraisa Mekame Masisin. Shmuel told Ravanan, we don't hold to the Braisa in front of the Mishnah. Mishnah is Iker, and the Mishnah, like Rav said, is that we follow Rabbi Yosi, that he could be Michael, his wife Truma. Harkava Mali Amar Shmuel. What Shmuel say about Harkava? Tashma Amar Shmuel Ravana Tanan Command Amar Shlosha v'Shlosha. He actually argues on Rav. Rav says you pass the Yosi or Shimon that you need 44 days. He holds you need only 33 days. like Rabbi Huda's shita. Koshi Mali Amarav. What about the din by Koshi? We talked about Dam Leda. So what would Rav say? Take it. We're not sure what Rav say. Kiddush Mali. What would the din by Kiddush? In terms of Kilayim. Amarav Rabbi Yosef Tashmad Amarav Huna Amarav. Ain't Allah Rabbi Yossi. Lacha does not follow Rabbi Yossi. Follow like a mayor that is Mekai that you could have asked Rabbi Shin Shalom. Amar Le Abai. Ma'ikaz Zmak Tahas Mochaha. Why are you relying on this? Relying on the other one. The Amar Ravada Bar Amar Rav Halacha Rabbi Yossi. The halacha in the name of Rav, both in the name of Rav. The halacha follows Rabbi Yossi. Amri Be Rav Manu Rav Huna Amri halacha. Right? They said the name, the academy of Rav was torn in the academy of Rav. Who is Be Rav? When it says in Be Rav, the Gemara Sanhedrin says Be Rav refers to Rav Huna, who is a prominent student of Rav. Rav Huna Amri halacha. He said the halacha does not follow Rabbi Yossi, so therefore we follow not like Rabbi Yossi in that case, in the case of Kilayim, I believe. So when I said Rabbi Yehuda Omer Tumtum, Yehuda says Tumtum. Amar of Ami, my Avid like Rabbi Yehuda Tumtum. Debiri do Suva Abe Kurse Ikra Olid Shvab Benin. Right? The Mishnah says Rabbi Yehuda says that a Tumtum Rabbi Yossi says that a tumtum has the din of not chole, it's not chole, it's the ishto. He's not in the contract of the chalitza and yibum. He can't have kids. He's like a sris. What would you do with the situation in Biri? This was a place that they sat him on the surgical table and they ripped his skin open, and they found out he has male genitals, and he fathered 7 children. So how can you say that he has the din of a sris? Rabbi Yehuda Amar Le Chazar al Benin Me'ayin Rabbi Yossi Yehuda had a retort to that. He said, "You're right. Maybe he did have children, but go check out where his children are really from. I don't believe it was from him. It must be some other man." So he really held firm to what his belief was. Tanya Rabbi Yossi Yehuda Omer Tumtum Lo Yachlo Shema Yikaro V'Nimsa Sris Chama. Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Yehuda, says that a tumtum can't do chalitza because maybe he'll be torn open, because Sris Chama, according to Rabbi Akiva, has the name of a Sris. Atu called him Kareh Zachar Hefis. The Gemara rejects that. The Gemara says if you rip it open, right, there's a different problem. Maybe the person's in a cave, they'll find that they have female genitals. That should be the reason. Heavy. Haki Kamar Shama Yikarav in a cave. What was he trying to say? Because there's two problems. Even if you ripped open, maybe he'll begin a cave. And for sure, there's no mitzvah of chalitza. It's not a brother; he's a sister. I feel a nimsa zachar. Even if he's a zachar and he's a brother of the deceased brother, Shema Yimsa Sris Chama, maybe of a Sris Chama, so there's 2 stadim and Sveika. Therefore, and based on that, that's why you shouldn't do Chalitza Riva. My Benai, what is the practical difference between Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda? Amar Rav, if so, Makom Achin, Lachal Shalom Makom Achin, Iko Benayu. Meaning, according to the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda says, he's Vada considered a Sris. Even if we tore him open and found him to be Zachar, he's a Sris. He's incapable of fathering children. That's Rabbi Yehuda's Shita. He's a Vada Sris. So there's never a case of there's no sad at all. His chalitza is invalid at all. So therefore, if he has a brothers who are staying do yibam and they're not tumtums, and he does chalitza, according to Yosef Yehuda, he would passel because there's a small chance that he might be able to father children. Might be a zachar. According to Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah, he wouldn't at all because he's for sure a vada yisris. So he wouldn't passel the achin do yibam. Lachos shalom makom achin. If there's no other brothers, should he do a chalitza midin chumrah? According to Yosef Yehuda, he should, because there's a slight chance, even maybe he's a zachar, and maybe he could father children, maybe he's not a suris. According to Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah, he's vada yisris. There's no point in doing chalitza. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda, Amar Rav Abba, Achva Rabbi Yehuda bar Zavdi, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, Androgynous chayav al skila mishnei makomos. Like we talked about yesterday. He passed in the name of Rav that an androgynous, if a man is together with an androgynous, they could technically violate Mishkav Zachar in 2 ways. Either from the back or from the front in the female genitals. The man goes into the vagina, it could aser Mishnei Makomos. Like we said yesterday, is the opinion of Tanakam in our Mishnah. Meisi Be'elezer Omer on Dragon's Chayav al Skila Kibbutz Zachar. Bryce's Lezer says Dragon's Chayav like a skila for sodomy like a man. Bedra more Mezikha Shalom and Nikva Shalom Potter. he holds that it's not mishkav zachar, even though they're both together. The androgynous and the man are together. If the man penetrates the nikvus, the vagina part of him, but there's not called mishkav zachar. Who the amar ki Tana Kama says like this time. The Tanya Rabbi Simai Omer and androgynous chayv on skill b'shnei makomos. He holds no. He holds differently, and he could mishkav zachar in two ways. My time with Rabbi Simai. What's the reason of Rabbi Simai? Amar Rava bar Amduri Asbrali ve'zachar lo tishka mishkavei isha. Amduri explained to me ve'zachar lo tishka mishkavei isha. Ezu zachar sheish bo shnei mishkavos. Pasuk says man should not lie with another man. Mishkavei isha, the way a man lies with a woman. It says mishkavei is plural. Heavy omer is androgynous. We're talking about who is possible to have two different types of bias when it comes to a man with another man. Obviously, it's a man androgynous that has two different male and female genitals. Heavy omer is androgynous for Rabbanan. Other Rabbanan say. Afagav, the Rebbe Lezer says, what do you say? Afagav, the isbei shnei makomos, mishkavos, et zachar ksiv. It says the word zachar, so we only go by the way a male normally has sexual relations with a male, only through the anus. Rabbanan zachar greda minalahu. The Rabbanan who say you can be chayav two makomos, Rabbi Simai shita. How do you know that a man with a regular another man, not an androgynous, he's chayav? The pasuk is only talking about androgynous. Meisha. It says. I think they fix this up over here. The Gosabach says the es isha. It says the word es to include that, even or zachar or the regular zachar. Okay, so the Gemara says beisha shalok darka minalu. We also know this pasuk that when you're together with a woman, a man's together with a woman, even not just from the front but from the back, it's called a bia for all the different halachos, for isurim, for marriage, things like that. Maybe isha, it says veisha vav includes that. Amar of Shizbi, Amar of Chisa, Lo L'chol, Amar Lezer, Androgynous, Rakam Aliyahu. Right? Until now, we're assuming Lezer considers him a Vadei Zachar. Just in terms of Mishkav Zachar, if he's together with a man through the Nikvus, through the vagina part, then it wouldn't be considered to be Mishkav Zachar. But it seems otherwise he considers him a Vadei male. But we're going to see it's not necessarily true. Lo L'chol, Lezer, Androgynous, Rakam Aliyahu. Shemata Omer Kem, Mukdash, Nikadesh. By karbonos, we're going to see by karbonos, it should be avadai zachar. The Torah specifies by animals, not by birds. We'll see that it has to be a zachar and a keva. Certain karbonos are brought from a zachar. Certain karbonos are brought from a keva. So we have to know what's a zachar and a keva. How do you know it's not kiddush according to Elazar? That he's unsure with the zachar and a keva. Tanya Rabbanan. Hanirva v'hamuksa and never v'estan and mechira v'tumtum and dragon. Nirva is a bird. We're going to see. We're talking about birds that were done malika to. Hanirva, it was sodomized, the bird. Hamuksa, it was set aside for avodah zarah. Hanevad, or was worshipped as avodah zarah. Esnan was given as payment for harlotry, for prostitution. Mechir, it was exchanged for a dog. V'tumtum v'androgynous, or the bird of tumtum v'androgynous has both simonim. Mitamin begadim avis abliya. According to Tanakama, we're not sure if it's a zachar and a keva. And therefore, it's considered a nevela, because if it was a zachar and a keva, we could ascertain it's valid as zachar and a keva, and then it was good. It was a malika. It was done properly, so therefore it wouldn't render the bird a nevela. It wouldn't render the bird a nevela, but now we don't know. It renders a nevela. Rabbi Lezer Omer Tumdum Androgynous Eimin Tam Begadim Ableis Abliya. Shayir Lezer Omer Komakom Shneimar Zachar and a keva Atam Motzi Tumdum Androgynous Mneim. V'ov Hov V'lemer V'onemer B'al Zachar and a keva Yetam Motzi Tumdum Androgynous Mneim. Lezer argues and he says, by animals, this price is not just about birds, it's talking about animals also in general, by all animals, by karbonos, if it says zachar and a keva, so therefore androgynous and tumtum, we're not sure what they are, you can't include them. But in oaf, it doesn't say zachar and a keva, so therefore tumtum and androgynous could be reliably treated as a zachar and a keva, and therefore it would not have the din only in a nevela. Nevela is unique. A nevela by a bird is unique, that it's not by touching it or carrying it. It doesn't cause tumor to you or to the clothes you're wearing. Only if you eat it. If you eat it, and you swallow it, the nevela, then it becomes also obviously the nevela. But if you swallow it, it also brings tumor to you and your begadim. only if it's in a vela. But since birds doesn't say zachar nekeva, so therefore androgynous and tumtum are included in any type of bird offering, and it's not a puzzle offering, and therefore the malika done to it would not render it in a vela, and it would not be metame begadim ameis habliya. Amar of Nachman bar Yitzchak, Afanana mitanina. We also found that like this, Rebbe Omer. So you see anyway from this brisa, you see Rebbe holds that even if it says Zachar and Akeva, we can't treat it as a Zachar Vadai. We're going to see this again in a second. Rebbe Omer Hakilayim b'treifa v'yotzi dolphin tumtum androgynous lo kedushin v'lo makdishin. If an animal is kilayim, for example, it's a mixture between, let's say, a goat and a sheep, a treifa, or it has fatal wounds, going to die within 12 months, v'yotzi dolphin, or it's a product of a C-section, not a natural birth, tumtum androgynous, tumtum, it has no signs of masculinity or femininity, androgynous has both signs, lo kedushin, v'lo mekadshin, right? It can't become kadosh, and it can't make something else kadosh. Amar Shmuel, lo kedoshin, what does that mean? Lo kedoshin mitmura, right? If you exchange another animal for it, doesn't become kadosh. Tomorrow when you exchange one korban for another animal, both of them get, right? The first animal retains its kedusha's korban, kedusha's aguf. Second animal gets kedusha's aguf, tomorrow. So if the second animal is an androgynous or a tumtum, it doesn't get kedusha of a lo mekadshin, but also tomorrow. If you take that animal, which is androgynous or tumtum, which has kedusha aguf, because technically you could have kedusha aguf androgynous or tumtum, and you try to switch it for another animal, the tmura, the other animal that you try to substitute for it, does not get kedusha. Shema mina, you see that by animals over here, he does not consider by animals, by birds, he does consider it to be a vadai zachar, or vadai nekeva, whatever, considered to be a vadai over there. When it comes to animals, it's not considered to be vadai zachar. We're not sure. Maybe like the Gemara says, lo echriu b'chachamim, or maybe I have a different shot. It's not a suffix or beri chadasha. According to Rebbe Lezer, it would not have the din of a zachar and a keva, and therefore it can't transmit kedusha zaguf through tamura. We're going to explain Rebbe Lezer's shita fully in Iyun Ben Sion. You're not going to want to miss that. Rebbe Lezer Omer chayav al skilo k'zachar Tanya Amar Rebbe. Rebbe said shalachti lo Torah so Rebbe Lezer ben Shamua. I learned in Torah by Rebbe Lezer ben Shamua chavru lai talmidav ketarna golem shel beis bukya. Talmidim came. Kabbalai Talmidav Ketarna Golem Shel Beis Bukya. Well, when Ichuni Lilmod Eladavar Echad Mishnah Seinu, they didn't want me to learn so much over there. They came like the chickens, the roosters, in Beis Bukya. They were obviously they're foreigners. They didn't want to accept foreign roosters into their clan. They only let me learn one thing. This you should know. If you want to know any halakha, this is the halakha I'm going to tell you. Like it says in our Mishnah, androgynous, if he is together with another man, like we explain only through the anus, but according to Rebbe Lezer, Bichayev Skila, it's called Mishkav Zachar, and he Bichayev Skila for that. With that, we will conclude the 8th parak of Mesachos Yevamos, parak RL. I hope you enjoyed parak RL. It was a very enlightening and descriptive. Only in the Torah you're going to find things like this, where it goes into really the nooks and crannies of masculinity and femininity. We're going to talk more about that in Ben Sion, difference in things like androgen and hermaphrodite and binary, non-binary coming up. So you want to miss that. These are pressing issues, and nowadays gender description, gender identity. So you're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. Coming up right now.